salmon is good, Moe is goodness.
It feels so good.
Being surrounded by nature.
Introducing Airwick's latest range of scented oil warmers, infused with pure essential oils and more naturally derived ingredients. So you can bring a little bit of nature home with up to 100 days of amazing natural fragrance. Airwick, let nature lift you.
Why did we start keeping money inside pigs? Life is confusing. Insurance doesn't have to be. Don't be confused. BeConfused.com.
Yeah.
Auntie Kate hasn't just nailed babysitting. She's absolutely cinched it. Just like she cinched her motor. Cinch is the easy way to buy a car online. There's thousands to choose from, all quality checked, with free home delivery and a 14-day money-back guarantee. So you can be certain you've absolutely cinched it.
Oh my gosh, stunning build.
Buying a car? Don't just nail it, cinch it.
Tomorrow morning, Sir Ian McKellen joins the Good Morning Britain team live from 6. Then Corrie's Kelly Millie Gibson pops in for a chat with Lorraine at 9. And Oscar-winning director Ron Howard is on this morning from 10. Then Corrie's Gary, Mickey North, spends lunchtime with the Loose Women at 12:30.
Now the latest ITV news in London.
Tonight on London's hottest day, fires rage. Smoke is rising over the capital as wildfires take hold in the east and west, testing the response of our emergency services.
All of the emergency services, both in London and our home counties, are under significant pressure at the moment, which is why we've declared a major incident.
For a few hours this afternoon, London set the record for the country's highest ever temperature. Some train services out of the capital have been stopped completely as commuters struggle across the city in sweltering conditions.
I mean, I think going to work's fairly essential. It's air conditioned in the office, it's pretty hot at home.
And while many, of course, are this evening out enjoying the weather, we'll ask what this extreme heat means for how Londoners live now and in the future. Good evening. The worst of the heat wave has now hit, and it's leaving its mark across our city tonight. There are so many fires raging around the capital right now. The London Fire Brigade has declared a major incident. Resources have been diverted around Dartford, Croydon and Wembley, and they're thinly spread. Homes in Essex have been evacuated. The advice is to be vigilant with cigarettes and anything else that could spark another grass fire. Hospitals are seeing increased admissions, and rail services out of 2 of our mainline stations have been cancelled altogether today. All of this after a new record high temperature was recorded at Heathrow at lunchtime, 40.2 degrees Celsius. Unheard of. We'll have the latest on how our tube and bus services have coped in these extreme conditions. But first, Antoine Allen reports on the emergency response to the extreme heat.
As temperatures soared to record levels, the work of the capital's emergency services dramatically rose with it. 100 firefighters tackled a blaze in Wellington. Over 30 fire engines fought 2 fires in Dartford. Cameras captured smoke in Shirley Hills. Just some of the many calls the London Fire Brigade responded to from across the capital, leading to the announcement of a major incident for all emergency services.
There is no doubt that this is an unprecedented heat wave that we're currently experiencing at the moment. Our resources are stretched across the capital, across all of the emergency services.
More forest fires were not the LFB's only concern. As smoke rose above Wembley, the LFB wants the public to avoid behaviours like barbecuing that could cause more call-outs.
The declaration of a major incident is done so to make sure that we do have the appropriate resources in place to be able to deal with these incidents as and when they are required. But I must just emphasise that message again, that we need people to behave sensibly.
As Londoners search for ways to cool down, the police warned of the dangers of swimming in open water. Today in Richmond, the police found the body of a 14-year-old who drowned after jumping into the River Thames. At King's College Hospital, staff reported an increase in patients due to the heat wave. Keeping cool was the priority inside their 100-year-old building.
I think it's trying to keep patients comfortable. It's difficult being in hospital, it's difficult being hot and unwell in hospital. So the staff are going to incredible lengths to keep them comfortable, well hydrated.
Jen, I can see that your staff are still working very, very hard, and it's pretty hot in this part of the hospital because it's an older part. What are the challenges you're facing?
Oh, it's really difficult for all the staff to work in these conditions, but also for patients to be looked after. It's bad enough being in hospital, but to be hot in hospital is really difficult. So the staff are doing what they can to help the patients, but also help one another to just get through this next few days.
The extreme heat means that transport and other businesses have been able to close or work from home, but the life-saving work of a hospital means that they have to be here and find a way to cope, even in hot weather. Today's record temperatures have tested all emergency services. Each one is asking the public to be careful whilst in the heat, to keep themselves safe, as to avoid needing their assistance. Antoine Allen, ITV News.
Well, let's talk live now to Brian Jordan, who is the Director of Operations for London's ambulance service. Brian, can you just update us on the effects of those fires? No one has been hurt so far, is that right?
Well, we have a number of ambulance crews supporting the fires across London. We did declare a significant incident almost 2 hours ago due to the fire in Ballards Road in Dagenham. We have our Specialist Operations Centre open here at our Waterloo headquarters so that we can manage that incident alongside our business as usual activity. We have a number of resources at the scene in Dagenham, so we have ambulances there, we have incident response officers and our hazardous area response team and a number of other resources. So currently at scene we're treating 6 patients. Our advice to people living nearby any fires is to close your windows and to follow any instructions given to you by the London Fire Brigade. And again, we just want to recognise our staff and our London Fire Brigade partners who are working there in very difficult circumstances this evening.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. 6 people hurt, you say. What's the nature of those injuries? Can you tell us?
So don't have those details at the moment. It is a developing situation, but our crews are on scene and will take the best care of them.
We're talking about business as usual, as you described it elsewhere. What has been the service's experience of London's hottest day elsewhere in the capital?
Yeah, so it's been getting incredibly busy over the afternoons. So we've been seeing the last few hours we've seen more than 400 999 calls being received. So we are anticipating today to see well over 7,000 999 calls. Now, a typically busy day for us would be about 5,500. So we're under incredible pressure, and I guess our ask to Londoners is to only dial 999 if it's a genuine emergency, and do contact NHS 111 online or visit a pharmacy or a GP if you need any urgent medical attention rather than emergencies.
And away from the fires, of course, what has been your experience from today about who is most vulnerable in these particularly high temperatures?
So definitely, so our advice is always for people to look after older, vulnerable people, family, friends and neighbours. What we're seeing is, so older people are particularly vulnerable, as are young babies. What we have seen is a 10% increase in fainting from this time last week. We've also seen an 80% increase in heat exposure. So it's really, I can't emphasise enough, given the current pressures, for everyone to look after themselves, make sure people are staying out of the shade, keeping hydrated, take water on public transport, but really look after some of those older and more vulnerable family, friends and neighbours.
And we've seen again, haven't we, a horribly regular tragedy that it almost always involves young people, particularly teenage boys, jumping into the water in places that they shouldn't do that.
No, definitely not. It's tragic, and we would always advise against that. The same with young children. If they're in swimming pools or paddling pools, do supervise them. We're just asking everyone to be sensible, so we can get through the current pressures that we're seeing through this current heatwave.
Brian, listen, we're really grateful for your time that you've spared us on what is a busy day. Thank you very much, and best of luck for the rest of it.
Thank you.
Well, if you had any plans to get out of London on the train today, then the extreme weather may well have had an impact on them. All services on the East Coast Main Line were cancelled because of the danger that the heat posed to the tracks. And then this afternoon, virtually all services in and out of Euston were suspended after the overhead cables got too hot above that line. Transport for London urged its customers, meanwhile, to travel only if they had to. And as Helen Keenan reports, those people who did
$100,000 passengers. There were none.
Nick, talk to me.
All day. Problems with the overhead cables.
What's happening next?
By the heat wave. The warning was not to travel unless essential. Some still packed onto tubes, the Piccadilly line busy this morning, while others simply heeded the advice. Clapham Junction Station noticeably quieter.
It's peak meeting time and trains like these are normally packed. It's still fairly busy, nothing like it normally is, and that's because passengers have been told to avoid travelling only if essential because of the high heat warning that's been issued by the Met Office today.
At Waterloo, those who did take journeys were on slower services, with speed restrictions in place to stop tracks buckling in the heat.
I think going to work is fairly essential. It's air conditioned in the office, it's pretty hot at home, so for me coming in, it's okay.
Seems like the UK is not built for hot weather, so I'm going into the office to take advantage of the air conditioning.
So these are... The hot weather may have slowed some commuters, but it had completely stopped some businesses in their tracks. This restaurant in Soho closed, unable to keep the extra heat out the kitchen.
But yeah, the hospitality business, I mean, it is a business, but it's also about hospitality and caring about people. And there are times when it seems not worth the risk. So we lose a bit of money today and yesterday, but we're used to losing money after the last couple of years. This feels like small fry.
Coastline. Team Albatross set off in June, spending more than 30 days at sea. They also collected samples during their challenge for scientists at the University of Portsmouth to study the UK's marine environment.
You're watching ITV News Meridian. Thank you for watching us. Coming up, Glorious Goodwood swings into action a week today as one of the most beautiful racecourses in the world welcomes some of the globe's top racehorses.
So our sports team, Andrew Pate and Sarah Gom, of course, have been along to have a look behind the scenes ahead of the big event.
And remember, you can find more news from right across the south by going to our website, itv.com/Meridian. You can call us on 0808 1010 095 and you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter and on Instagram.
The hot weather has caused severe disruption on the railways today. We're now told that all services are cancelled on some routes between London Waterloo and Basingstoke and London Waterloo to Portsmouth.
Yes, Network Rail says the extreme heat is to blame, with some tracks buckling. Speed restrictions had already been put in place, but now all trains are cancelled until at the very least 7 p.m. We'll keep you updated on our website, itv.com/Meridian.
Next, the Portsmouth North MP Penny Mordaunt is still in the race to be the next Prime Minister, but it is very close.
Tory MPs will decide on the final two tomorrow. Then party members across the country will have the final say. Let's cross to our political correspondent Phil Hornby. Phil, tell us what's happened today.
Well, the big question was who would get knocked out. There were 4 names left on the ballot paper. Here's the result.
Badenoch, 59 votes. Mordaunt, 92 votes. Sunak, 118 votes. Truss, 86 votes.
And then there were three. These are the three candidates who will be voted on tomorrow. And the big question is, Kemi Baden not dropping out today. She got nearly 60 votes. Where will her votes go? Lots of people here think more of them will go to Liz Truss. So Penny Mordaunt could be pipped at the post. If she does get through, it'll probably be against Rishi Sunak. It'll be a kind of South Coast derby. Rishi Sunak, born in Southampton, against Penny Mordaunt, very keen to stress in her latest campaign video that she is an MP for Portsmouth.
I've lived in Portsmouth all my life. It's a military city with a proud history. It's patriotic, it's passionate about football, it likes a pie and a pint, and quite frankly, so do I. Portsmouth has taught me a lot.
And Phil, one MP from the South wasn't able to vote today. What happened?
Yeah, we're talking about Tobias Ellwood. Now, last night in the House of Commons there was an important vote which the government won easily, but Tobias Ellwood was missing when the MPs went through division lobbies last night. The reason was he's on a trip to Moldova and Ukraine at the moment. He says flight problems meant that he couldn't get back in time. But the Tory hierarchy have taken action against him today, and Mr Ellwood has been kicked out of the parliamentary Tory party. He's lost the whip. Now, some people say, yeah, that is just enforcing party discipline as usual. But I have to tell you, there's never been any love lost between Mr Ellwood and Boris Johnson. And some people here think this is an act of revenge by the Prime Minister while he still can. So Mr Ellwood will now sit as an independent MP. Meanwhile, everyone agog for the final MP's vote tomorrow. We'll let you know what happens tomorrow night.
Look forward to it, Phil. Thank you very much.
Now, the ITV Evening News, of course, continues with the national and international headlines at 6:30. With the details about what's on their programme this evening, here's Lucrezia Millarini.
Britain burns as temperatures hit record highs. Buildings and fields caught fire as 40-degree heat turned grasslands into tinder boxes. Temperature records were first broken before midday and then again as the heat intensified. It's also caused widespread rail disruption, with passengers asked not to travel. And in Europe too, wildfires rage on. Thousands are evacuated across France, Spain, Portugal and Greece. Join me for all those stories and more at 6:30.
Glorious Goodwood swings into action a week today as one of the most beautiful racecourses in the world welcomes some of the globe's top racehorses.
So in the latest in their summer series, our sports team Andrew Pate and Sarah Gom have been along to have a look behind the scenes ahead of the big event.
The first private race meeting was for army officers back in 1801.
And it was so successful that the first public meeting was held the following year.
From there on, Glorious Goodwood has become an important part of the summer season.
And today, the clerk of this famous course has invited us to take a look behind the scenes, to find out a little more about what must be one of the country's most picturesque racecourses.
Keeping the course in pristine condition is a year-round job, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we only race 19 days a year, so there's a lot of other days to fill, but there's always plenty to do, as anybody that looks after any pitches from a Sunday League football pitch right through to this. The only difference being we've got half-ton racehorses with metal shoes on, making a lot of mess on the track.
Ed, tell us about this stick, probably your most important piece of equipment.
Yeah, I use this to tell the ground. I push it in, and then it's just a case of how far in it goes and what it feels like, and from that I give a going description.
And beyond the course itself are those places where the all-important preparation takes place,
where weights are taken and racegoers catch a first glimpse of some of this sport's greatest names.
So the jockeys will come out of the weighing room the way we're just walking now, hopefully with the right weights in their saddle cloth. They come and stand on the scales here in the middle of the yellow box. The clerk of the scales sitting behind the desk checks that they're all the right weight. Occasionally there's a sort of £0.5 difference, so they have to put one of these weights into their saddlebags just to make sure that they are actually at the right weight.
This is another area we see on the TV a lot.
Yeah, this is the parade ring. So the horses come in here once they've been saddled, and then the trainers and the owners will be in the middle of the parade ring. The jockeys come out from the weighing room, have a chat with the owner and the trainer, get their last-minute instructions, and then they get legged up and out onto the track.
It's fabulous. And up here you get a real sense of the theatre of it all. How does it feel when you think back to the rich heritage of this venue?
Oh, it's fantastic. You know, I love history anyway, and it always sends a bit of a tingle down your spine. And just to think of the great horses that have been here, all the society through the hundreds of years. And, you know, we still get them now, but you think back 100 years and Edward VII was here every race day. It's amazing.
Goodwood has indeed long been a favourite of royalty and high society.
King Edward VII did in fact describe it as a garden party with racing tacked on.
Up on Trundle Hill, the free part of the course, they're hard at work on the age-old problem, though plenty of people are on hand to give them the answers. Obviously, he hasn't got a horse. Hungry enough to eat one? Try a basinful of eels instead.
And such a party does of course need catering on a huge scale. Milo Walker is the 8th generation of his gin distilling family, preparing to provide refreshment this summer.
But there is of course one stunning standout feature that makes Goodwood a rather unique venue.
The view is unbelievable. It is completely unspoilt. And it is what makes the racecourse. So we are by no means the largest racecourse, but we are the most beautiful racecourse in the world, and we're very proud of that. And it's something that people, you know, that go to many racecourses all around the world say Goodwood is the most beautiful racecourse in the world, overlooking the South Downs. On a summer's day like today, it is glorious, as they say.
Unlike the race day fashions and the favourites, these views are one aspect of the course that won't change.
Thanks to the hard work behind the scenes to keep Goodwood looking glorious for many years to come.
It really is stunning and will be at Goodwood a week today.
Looking forward to it. Now, plenty of warnings about the heat today. Dog owners warn not to walk their pets at all.
The RSPCA says pavements were reaching temperatures of over 60 degrees during the hottest parts of the day, risking heat stroke and burnt paws.
Well, Christine Alsford has been finding out how our animals have been faring and what the top tips are from the experts to keep them safe.
At the Centre Backs Doggy Daycare Centre in Hampshire, there's the chance to do what most of us have resorted to in the extreme heat, chilling out on the sofa with the fan on. Staying under cover and special canine cooling jackets, the order of the day, along with homemade icy snacks.
Dogs are really bad at regulating their temperature, so we have to keep an eye on them, make sure they don't get too hot. The paddling pools are great, especially if they can get wet sort of around their chest and the underside of them as well. It's a good cooling spot for them.
But it's no time to go walkies. An experiment conducted by the RSPCA found in the hottest part of the day, pavements are reaching temperatures in excess of 60 degrees Celsius. That's 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
I can't even begin to explain how a dog must be feeling in this heat, especially being dragged out on a walk. I'm wearing a jumper and that's not even close to what a dog must be feeling covered in fur.
Their advice, don't exercise pets at all today, or at the very least, leave it until very late this evening.
It's not just the air temperature that people need to be concerned about, it is also about the ground temperature. So if people are going to take their dogs out this evening, we would strongly advise that they place their hand on the pavement. If it's too hot for their hand after 5 seconds, then it's just too hot for their dog's paws.
But it's not just our dogs who are feeling the effects. Zoos like Drusilla's in Sussex are using sprinklers and a special diet to help residents keep cool and comfortable.
We can give them ice lollies, particularly our primates will manipulate it with their hands and it just cools them down naturally. The penguins, we have been putting ice in their pool to keep the temperature down as well for them, but also our capybaras will be using a mud bath.
And Pony Club members at Weymouth in Dorset have been taking an evening dip, welcome relief for the horses and the riders. The advice is to keep your animals well rested and hydrated and to look out for the early signs of heat stroke, including heavy panting, dribbling, vomiting or drowsiness. But for those heeding those tips and looking to cool off, there is still plenty of fun to be had out of the sun. Christine Osford, ITV News.
OK.
Oh, they look like they're having fun there. Well, by 9 a.m. this morning, it was already around 30 degrees Celsius. That's 86 Fahrenheit in places, including Benson in Oxfordshire and Bournemouth.
Well, Holly is here now with the latest from the Met Office on those temperatures. I mean, however you look at it, quite incredible numbers today.
Absolutely. Not just today, of course, also last night. So last night was record-breaking. Today has been record-breaking. St Catherine's Point in the Isle of Wight last night didn't fall below, get this, 24.4 degrees. They didn't get any lower than that. That broke the previous record by half a degree, the hottest night on record. And then today, of course, just incredible numbers. Take a look, actually. We've got the top values here across the region. Heathrow, 40.2 degrees, that's 104 Fahrenheit. Charlwood there, just shy of 40 degrees. Now, the previous record stood at 38.7, so Benson equalled that. What's unbelievable about this is we normally break records by points of a degree. We don't break them by a degree and a half. This really is just unprecedented. Hopefully this graph just gives you a sense as well of how unusual these numbers are. So this came in from Dr. Rob Thompson at the University of Reading, and it gives you a sense of where normal summer days fall. So this is normal summer, temperatures in the low 20s. Hot days, we're talking temperatures potentially in the low 30s, say. Today, 38 degrees for Reading, and then of course 40 degrees there for Heathrow. So, as I say, unbelievable, unprecedented weather.
It is scary. There's no other,
It is scary. And of course we couldn't be doing this without the changes that we are making to our climate. You just wouldn't see these numbers.
And let's change ahead.
Yes. Got some thunderstorms in the forecast. We're losing the extreme heat, but I have to say, still some very warm weather, potentially in the high 20s at times into the coming days.
Well, look, you did mention a few minutes ago how hot it stayed overnight. People have actually been getting in touch with us today with their tips on how they stayed cool last night. Let's just run you through a few of those. Gemma Sankey's been in touch to tell us that we put a hot water bottle in the fridge while we're at work and then put it in the bed to keep their body temperatures down. They say it works like a charm.
Some viewers said the same when I was telling Matt how I went down and got some ice cubes and wrapped them in a towel. Worked for me.
And great detail.
Others have used using a frozen squash bottle wrapped in a pillowcase. Meanwhile, Debbie Knox says, I've had my loft door open for the last week. Lovely and cool upstairs as heat rises.
Good tip. Vicky Gardner says that she slept on the sofa downstairs with her elderly dog, the fan blowing. The dog laid on a cool mat on the sofa, still though very warm, whatever she did.
And Catherine Delaney says she camped in the garden with the kids under a gazebo. I think that sounds like a very good idea.
I just want to mention as well very quickly, viewer Sarah Jane Birch. I just hope she got on okay today. She's a postie. She had a very warm night. She said she was looking forward to a sweltering working day ahead. Hope it all went okay, and just worth sparing a thought for those people working out in this heat today.
Yeah, let's hope for a more comfortable night now with the details of your weather. Here's Holly.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Well, after our spell of extreme weather, we are seeing some changes. This evening, currently we're seeing a weather front moving through, bringing some less hot air, also the threat of some thundery showers. Tomorrow too, we could see some thunderstorms developing with a warning in force for parts of the region. But while we're seeing the extreme heat easing, we have still got some very warm weather to come at times into the next few days. So you can see the hottest air here marked on my map by the pinks. This cold front though currently moving across us, bringing this risk of some thundery showers and also some less hot air with it. If we look at the detail, this is the cold front moving through. As I say, might not look that active, but could well bring some flashes and bangs. And then into tonight, don't get me wrong, it's still a warm one. We're still talking temperatures potentially in the high teens, but it's not a record breaker like last night. Still, though, I think an uncomfortable one for sleeping. And then into tomorrow, some sunshine around, there will be cloud appearing and there will be these thunderstorms bubbling up. We've got a warning in force roughly from Winchester northwards, but you could see some, I think, appearing further south. But look at the temperatures. Yes, they're nothing like today, but we could still see values in the mid to high 20s for some. Our times of high water, we've got Portsmouth at 4:53 and again at 5:58 as we head into the late afternoon. And finally, this is the outlook. So I think on Thursday, actually a very reasonable sort of a day. If you like it quiet, you like some warm sunshine, I do think it will feel warm. Into Friday, though, we start to see the potential for further thunderstorms developing, feeding up from the continent. They could be pretty lively. But come the weekend, once again likely to be dry, with temperatures edging their way upwards, a good bit above average for the time of year.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV Pollen Count.
Well, a bit of a let-up in the heat, although, as I say, still some very warm weather to come, but a more significant let-up in the pollen levels. Low conditions into the coming days, and what we have got is mainly weed. Take care.
Now, just before we go tonight, a quick reminder that the search is still on to find someone to represent our region at the Daily Mirror Pride of Britain Awards. It is, of course, the glitzy awards night where the stars of the show are the everyday people who've done extraordinary things, and it's where this year's National Fundraiser of the Year will be revealed.
So if you know someone who should be named our regional fundraiser and be in with a chance of getting that national title, why don't you let us know? Winners must be aged 18 or over, and entries for individuals only will be considered. The closing date is Friday the 12th of August, and full terms and conditions can be found on our website. All you need to do is head to itv.com/Pride of Britain and follow those links.
Yes, do get in touch. Well, that is just about it from us for this evening. I've got your late update just after 10:30, and of course the ITV Evening News is next.
For now, though, from the team here, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
You alright, hun? You got the blankets? Yeah. In the car seat? In the back. Yeah, it's got essential oils.
Oh, you didn't think petrol was an essential oil?
It's gonna be fine. Oh, just a quick top up and we'll be there.
Some things are better faster. That's why TalkTalk's full fibre now goes right up to 900 megabits per second. New speed, same great value. It just makes sense. TalkTalk.
Good evening. You're watching the ITV Evening News. I'm Lucrezia Millarini. The records fell as quickly as the temperatures rose today, with the UK recording its hottest day ever. It reached a sizzling 40.3 degrees Celsius in Lincolnshire. That's almost 105 Fahrenheit. So it followed the UK's hottest ever night, and the extreme heat covered most of the country, with Scotland recorded its highest ever temperatures. The effects, though, have been damaging and deadly. Tonight, homes in Wennington in East London have been evacuated after a major wildfire erupted, one of several right across England. There have been further deaths in open water as people try to cool off. And of course, there have been the inevitable travel problems on the railways. Well, tonight we have the latest on the impact of those record-breaking temperatures from our reporters right across the country. But first, our correspondent John Ray on those wildfires that are engulfing homes.
On a day that has seared itself into the nation's memory, flames that are a towering monument to the intense heat. Twin blazes straddle the north and south banks of the Thames River to the east of the capital. This is the village of Wennington, where more than 100 firefighters attempted to bring the flames under control. Local residents